when a person dies, where would he go? Is it the end of him? This is a good question. This is the question that relates to some ceremonies or some rituals that we have to perform later. When a person dies, is it really the end of him? I think we need another 6 hours to explain this. But in order to simplify the explanation so that we make people understand within 15 minutes, I need to simplify it for you by giving examples, which I always cited in lunches. I hope those who heard the examples before won't be bored by it. When a person dies, when a being dies, it's not the end of him. His body dies, but it's not the end of him. It's the beginning of another life. The ending of this life is the beginning of another life. So those whose relative passed away, don't think that that's the end. Don't think that you can close the general ledger for him. No more entries, no more debits and credits. No, that's not true. When a person dies, he ends up this life, but he continues into the next life. The example I always give, and I will give it to you in this session. This body that we've got is like a hotel. So this is the hotel of our existence. Every body is like a hotel. What hotel you live in? Let's talk about this present life. How come some people live in a 5-star, some people in a 4-star, 3-star, 1-star hotel? Everybody is different. I haven't found two bodies that are exactly similar, even twins. Even if their physical bodies are similar, their mentality may not be similar. So everybody's hotel is not the same, it's different. And the Buddhist teaching says, generally there are 6 kinds of different kinds of hotels. But first of all, before telling you the 6 kinds of different hotels, every time when we get born into this world, we check in a hotel. And that hotel, that early hotel in the embryo stage is of course in the mom's womb. That's the hotel. And then that you check in. You check in that hotel. And you live, of course, you come out, you live, you're a baby, and then you're an adult, and then you're an old man. You've gone through all this trial and tribulations of life. You go through all the suffering, you go to school, you upkeep the hotel. You still have a responsibility to upkeep it though. You have to make sure that your hotel is healthy. You have to make sure that all the fridges are working, the sofas, the beds, and you have to upkeep it. If you don't upkeep it, then you check out earlier. But finally, you've got to check out. It does not matter what hotel you live in, you've got to check out. You have no choice. Okay, you check in yourself and you check out. But it does not matter checking in or checking out. Who is checking in? Who is checking out? It's still the same person. You check in is that person who check in. You check out is the same person. That same person, this hotel is gone. I died. This hotel is gone. No more of this hotel. Putting aside what kind of hotel, and I'll explain it to you later. I'll check in this hotel, I go along again. This hotel vanishes. I come out. I go into another hotel. It's the same person. That person never disappeared. He's just changed another hotel. If the dad passed away, your granddad passed away, and I like to explain a little bit more on this example, which I will carry on, of course. And I said 15 minutes. I don't know if I can do it in 15 minutes, maybe half an hour. If half an hour, then after this question is answered, I'll call quit. say if you, it's the same person who check in and check out. When a relative passes away, if all the relative members are grief-stricken, they're crying, they will, oh, my granddad, my grandmom passed away, and I feel grief-stricken, I feel sorrowful, I cry and all that. If the person who passes away listen to your crying, then that person, although he checked out from the hotel, he's still hanging around. He's not going into the next hotel yet, because he attached so much to the families when he was living. Attached to family members, attached to his estates, attached to his unfinished business. He can leave, he can go. And that's agony for him. On the one hand, his body is gone. He's got to check out. No more body for him anymore. On the other hand, he does not want to leave. He still hang around. If he hangs around, there's a problem. He's not happy because he cannot show up again to console the family members or to do his unfinished business. On the other hand, he's got to go. So the most important for relative members, for people who passed away, don't show your grief, don't show your sorrow. Try to talk to the passed away and saying, do not attach to this hotel and do not attach to this world anymore. This is a world of desires. This is a world of suffering, of trial and tribulations. Let go of this world and go to that good place. Let go. Don't think about us anymore. We can handle all these matters that you left behind. Don't think about us. Go on to your trip. Go on to your happy trip. That's the most important. And then the Buddha said when a person passes away, he has 49 days to be roaming around before checking in another hotel. 49 days, generally. And in the 49 days, he's still around. But within the 49 days, if you're doing rituals and ceremonies for him, that means you're chanting sutras for him. And what is in this sutra? The sutra is a consolation. The sutra is the Buddha's teaching telling him this is what should be done. All this about the philosophy of life, about attitude, about morality, about what a being should behave, about what a being should understand about the world, about himself. You really have to study Buddhist sutras to understand it. I can't explain all the sutras content to you. The Buddha's teaching contains so much, it's like the vastness of the ocean. How can I tell the vastness of the ocean to you in a few minutes? There's so much profound philosophy in there. So, when you are chanting a sutra, because the person who passes away, all his senses are gone. First of all, his eyesight is gone, he can't see anymore. His hearing, and all the senses, the hearing, the smelling, the tasting, the touching, all this, we've got the 6 senses, right? And then the last that leaves the body is the mentality, is that consciousness, we call it. So, when all the senses are closed off, are dead, that only consciousness has become very acute, very sensitive. That means his understanding is very high. Even if you whisper there, he could hear it. Even in your mind, what you think, he can hear it. Oh, I passed away now. My wife is so grief-stricken. My wife wants to know this and know that. My wife wants to know where the key is put on my deposit box. And I still have this, I haven't done this, I have that I haven't done. His consciousness is more acute and sensitive than when he was living. Why? Because look, all his other senses that have been distracted will close. They all converge into one very sensitive consciousness. We all have that kind of experiences. Say that if you are quiet, if you're not disturbed by noises, you're not disturbed by the radio, by TV, you're all by yourself, then you can reflect inside. You know more about yourself. When you have all the distractions, your consciousness tends to be polluted. But now, then you understand more. So when you are chanting the sutra, or when the monks and nuns are chanting the sutra, he sort of absorbs every sentence inside. He knows. And he knows the feeling of everybody. He knows his son is present, his grandchild, his granddaughter. He knows everybody is present. Oh, they care for me. They express filial piety to me. He feels happy. When he feels happy, he does not want to attach anymore. Particularly, the sutra content is telling him, do not attach anymore to this body of yours. It's gone. Go into the next realm. Go into the next hotel, which is peaceful. Go into the next hotel, which is better for you. And then he leaves. So, within the 49 days, that's why you're doing all these rituals. You're communicating with the passed away because he understands or she understands you. Particularly with the third-party power behind. What is this third-party power? The Bodhisattvas and the Buddhas. They can communicate your idea across. The sutra chanting is like a frequency. The frequency of the radio touches the radio station's frequency and is bang, all of a sudden connected. Thousands of miles away. How can thousands of miles away mindfulness be connected by the frequency of a sound travels? It's unbelievable. 200 years ago, nobody believed that sound travels and can be connected by frequency. That's why you're at the telephone now. Mind-to-mind frequency can travel even faster than frequency of the sound. You don't believe that you can transmit your sound frequency to the passed away? That yet has to be discovered by the scientists. But the scientists already have discovered that sound frequencies can match your sound with the radio station, with all the other radios in which they have the frequencies connected with you. They receive it. Your mind frequency can receive the mind frequency even of the passed away. So I'm diverting. Now let's get back to the path. So when a person dies, within the 49 days, he may be still roaming around, or he may, two possibilities that he's not roaming around. He immediately goes into the next hotel under two situations. He won't be roaming around. He won't wait for you. What are these two situations? The first situation is for people who perform the most virtuous deeds when they were alive. They sacrificed for the country. They were heroes and heroines. They've done a lot of wholesome deeds. They have done a lot. They are very generous. They are very compassionate. They are very helpful. And in all his life, he's expressing a lot of virtuous deeds to other people. He's the most virtuous person on earth. He doesn't have to wait. He will immediately roll into the next hotel that is a 6-star hotel. A 6-star hotel. He rolled into that 6-star hotel. Immediately, almost like immediately. So if your grandpa, your grandmom is so nice and so compassionate that you don't have to worry for him. He has already gone into the next 6-star hotel. That's one situation. The next situation is if that person has performed the most unwholesome deeds. He has been killing, he's been stealing, he's been committing sexual misconduct, he has been committing immoral languages, he has been committing slandery, gossiping, and he's been selfish, egoistic. He will immediately roll into the next hotel. That is a 1-star hotel, or that is a no-star hotel. He could roll into hell, become a hell victim. He could have gone into an animal realm, become an animal. He could have gone into the ghost realm, become a ghost. Because he's performed so much bad deeds when he was alive. It's not God. God has nothing to do with which hotel you're going into. You created your own world. Not even Buddha. You created your own causes for everything. It's a causality effect. Cause and effect. So watch out for every cause that you have done. Watch out for every thought that you have thought, every action that you have performed. You created your own world. Isn't that scientific? You want an A, you got to study. You want an A in the exam in your report card and you don't want to study. How can you get an A? You want an A, that's the effect. You've got to put in all these causes that contribute to you getting that A. Is that scientific? Is that logical? Everything you do contributes to some effect. That's what we call causality. Maturity of the effect may come at different times. I have cultivated all these causes. How come I never get an A? Because even though you have put in all your efforts, the professor is sick. You were sick on the day of examination, and you don't get that result. So the maturity of the effect could be different, but the cause has an effect. So those are the two situations. So you roll into another hotel. So how many kinds of hotels you roll into? There's 6 paths of reincarnation, 6 kinds of hotel. Hotel of the hell, hotel of the animal, hotel of the ghosts, hotel of Asura, which I need to explain it, no time to explain, maybe you should research into it, hotel of humans, and hotels of heavenly beings. In other words, you could go to heaven. But still, these 6 hotels are not ultimate. Because no matter which hotel you reincarnate into, you still have to check out. You still have to subject to life and death. Samsara, we call it. The Buddha, 2,600 years ago, has found a way that he doesn't have to roll into that hotel anymore. He has transcended life and death. No more samsara, no more trial and tribulations, no more suffering. When you're in that hotel, you're subject to suffering. You're subject to life and death. You're subject to sufferings of earthquake, of outside suffering, inner sufferings, catastrophes, wars, broken families, killing, lying, atrocities, cruelties, racial genocides, all kinds of suffering in this world. You're subject to that. But the Buddha has found a way, and that way is for nirvana, for enlightenment, where you're not subject to life and death anymore. He's just found a way. He's the teacher. He's not the God. He found a way to that eternity. And he told us that way. Don't roll anymore into different bodies again. This is the hotel of your existence. Every existence is every hotel. And you build that hotel for yourself. You book it yourself, nobody else. You check in and you check out. So for those who are doing rituals and ceremonies, when you're concentrating on what you're chanting, when you chant wholeheartedly, conveying your utmost devotion to the passed away, he or she can feel it. And maybe the passed away has created a cause for you to come to the temple so that you start to know, so that you start to understand the spiritual side of life, not just the materialistic style of life. If you're pursuing the materialistic style of life, you'll always be rolling in that hotel unceasingly, continuously. You have to turn from the self-centered life to that divinity-centered life. Then you can get away from samsara, life and death. Have you opened your path for understanding? Have you opened your path for absorbing more of what is the meaning of life? Where did I come from? How did I get born? Why do I have to go through all this? Where will I go after death? How do I improve yourself? How can I be happier in this life? How can I always maintain that eternal happiness? All these, don't you have to find out? Or you just every day you live like in 24 hours, you sleep for 8 hours, it's just 1/3 of your whole 24 hours. You go to work, you go to study, you go to entertainment, another 1/3 of your hour. Another 1/3 of your hours, what do you spend? Gossiping, watching television, going party? Look how you spend your lifetime. 8 hours is the sleep already, which is 1/3. or the 2/3. You spend your time in maintaining this so-called hotel of your life, which you got to check out later. So, from now on, why don't you think about it? Pause. Stop running for the materialistic lifestyle. Stop running. Stop running for the betterment of your own ego. We're like a wave in the ocean. We are running like the wave. We're drifting in the ocean like a wave. We are running, we got frustrated. We want to return to the water because we got frustrated. We want the tranquility and peacefulness of the water. We are a wave. We always go up and down and blow up and down. We are frustrated. We get tired of it. We wanted to go home. We wanted to return to the water. You don't have to return to the water. You are the water. You just tranquilize your mind. You are water right there. Do you know about it? You got that nature of a water. You are a wave, but you are water. You're not apart from the wave. You're not apart from the water. That tranquility and peacefulness is in you. It's just you don't want to recognize it. You want to recognize yourself as a wave and not as the water. Do you see the difference? That peace is in you already. That's why we're meditating. But you don't recognize it because that peace has been polluted by your jealousy, your hatred, your greediness, your envy, your ignorance, your anxiety, your disappointment, your fear. All that dominated you. All that wave dominated you. Why don't we return home? We're frustrated. We got tired. Return home. Study the Buddhist teaching. It's right there. The method of returning home. The method of not rolling into those hotels anymore. Going straight to that path of nirvana. I spent more than 15 minutes on this question. I don't want to go on. Next question. I have recently heard some people say, I am bored. Can you give some insight into how Buddhist practice might counter or eliminate a bored state of mind? The bored state of mind is in the 5 hindrances of meditation. The first hindrance is greediness. The second hindrance is desires. The third hindrance is torpor or sluggishness. The fifth is restlessness. And the torpor, that means bored. Because when you're sitting there, you have no target to get enlightened. You just sit there doing nothing. That's why you're bored. You have no aspiration. You don't want to go to that saintly path. You just sit there. You don't have a drive to go on. You haven't set up that target that you want to get enlightenment. You just want to sit there. That's why you are bored. Because you have no aspiration. You're not being stimulated to pursue on. It's just like a salesman. Every day he wakes up and every day he says, what am I going to do? I'm going to go back to the office, lock myself out in that cubicle, and I'm going to give this call to all my clients. And anyway, they reject me anyway. So okay, I go back and give this call. He has that psychology of being negative. I won't get into business anyway, but I go back to the cubicle and I start to do this calling. You think he'll be a successful salesman? The successful salesman would be like this. This is a new morning. I want to start my morning afresh. I want to do a certain number of calls. I want to be positively getting this business. You're not positive, you're negative. You start your day with a negative mind. That's why you're bored. If you wanted to be the Buddha, how can you be bored? If you want to be a Bodhisattva rendering your compassion out to all sentient beings, how can you get bored? If you are bored, that means you have nothing to do. What you're doing is meaningless. Why don't you be a volunteer in South Africa? Helping the poor, helping at hospital care in India. We've got people who sometimes who go to India every year for 1 or 2 months in hospice care, helping the passed away, helping people who passed away to pass peacefully away. How can you be more positively strengthen your life by rendering yourself to give compassion to the needy? You're not bored. Mother Teresa is not bored. Every day she went around the hospitals and make sure that everything runs well. And she's not bored. If every day you're eating the same meal, every breakfast, every lunch, every dinner, would you get bored? Because you depend on the meals for living. Because there's no one who drives you or pushes you. If someone is say, if you're bored with your food, you're not giving food, then you won't be bored. You want to work towards it. If you don't work, you can't have the food, then you have to work. You have the food put before you anyway. Why do you have to strive to get better? So sometimes suffering will induce a person to be a saint because you want to get away from the suffering. If you are suffering now, I'm suffering, I don't want to move, I just suffer. I don't care, I'm suffering. You're very negative and you always be in suffering. If you're in suffering and you say, I want to get away from the suffering, I don't want to get cured, I want to be better, I want to be positive, then you won't get bored. Next question, why are all Buddhist monks shave their heads? I just want to answer this question in another way, in a very casual way. If you don't shave your head, you got all the hair, what do? You got to use shampoo to clean it up. If you have a long hair, you're going to clean it up every day. That's time consuming. And if you don't wash it, it stinks. It disturbs the other guy who's meditating next to you. If you use your shampoo that is so pungent in smell, you're disturbing the other guys. So why don't you shave it off? So you don't disturb the other guys. You won't use the wrong shampoo, the wrong conditioner. And if you spend every day to wash your hair, if you save the time in washing your hair and conditioning it and shampooing it, you save the time to read a sutra for that half an hour, and every day you accumulate that much time, you will become a saint. But you don't even want to do that. You want to spend a half hour tidying your hair, your dirty hair, and you don't want to meditate for half an hour. If you spend that half an hour in meditating and reflecting within, to reflect on that inner consciousness within, you may be a saint. You may be getting that tranquility and peacefulness that money cannot buy. But you don't want to do that. You want to spend your time in shampooing and conditioning. Plus, you are spending money. People spend hundreds of dollars on conditioners and shampoo. So, which is better? Next. If you have your hair, after you shampoo it, after you condition it, what do? You put something on your hair to ornate it, to make sure that you put a pin in here, you put the right hat on, and make sure you curl it, make sure you have the right blower. And you have to talk to a hairstylist, $35, $50, and you're going to drive up to the salon. And then when you're taking this shampooing, when you're taking this hairstylist to work on your hair, you listen to a next door gossip. And that pollutes your mind, not just your hair. It pollutes your mind. So just that example, you want to shave it off. Don't you? Yeah?
One shampoo for all.
Yes. So there's a one solution for all. So even the hair would give you that much trouble. So that's why the monks and nuns want to shave it off. No more trouble. Maybe that should be on a commercial. But then the commercial dealer said, no, then we want to create a cream for shaving. So after you shave it off, here's the best cream for you. That's the profit motive. You don't need that cream. Then you have this baby lotion, you have this aloe vera lotion, and people, that's what we mean by greediness. That's why we're living in this world of desires. Everything is attempted to make money out of you. So I think that's sufficient answer for this question. Buddhist sutras are so complex. There are layers and layers of entities. Did Buddha go through all of them, or did Buddha experience them all? Buddha is omniscience, omnipotent. In other words, he knows everything, all-inclusive. He knows everything. How come the Buddha knows everything? When you are not enlightened, you are just like a mirror with a lot of dirt on the surface. For millions of years, you've gone through all these reincarnations. All this dirt have been accumulating. You can't see your real self. You can't even see the world around you. When you eliminate all the dirt on the mirror, all of a sudden it's all shining through. You see your real self clearly. You see all the world clearly. But when you don't see it, you won't believe it. When you're blinded with the dirt, you don't believe that there's a moon. You don't believe that there's the sun. You don't believe that there's birds and flowers and trees and landscape, the beauty of it. You don't believe it. Because you haven't seen it before. You don't know them because you have been polluted. But once all these pollutants have been eradicated, eliminated, all of a sudden you say, unbelievable. I've never believed that the world is so vast. I've never believed that my face looks like this. So that's the same. The Buddhas knows it. The Buddhas know all the surrounding and you don't know. It does not mean that the surrounding does not exist. It's just you are being polluted. You don't see it. It does not mean that it doesn't exist. The world exists, it's just you don't see it. The Buddha has been pointing you the way. They're pointing you the way to get enlightened. But you just are blinded, you don't know. I like to end it up with a story. There was a person, many people heard this story before. There was a person who has never seen the moon before. And one day he knows of a person who has seen the moon. And he had asked that person. The moon was bright on that night. And they asked the person, the Zen master, where's the moon? I like to see the moon. And then the Zen master, knowing that the moon is right there, pointed his finger up. That's the moon. And then the confused person said, oh, now I know, that's the moon. That's the moon. The moon is there, but he thought that's the moon because the Zen master pointed this finger. He thought this finger is the moon. He didn't have the foresight, the wisdom to know that the moon is not here. The moon is what the finger refers to. All right, that's it for today.